Hey guys, welcome to Series World. Today I'm going to explain a romance drama series called Devotion from 2022. Turn on subtitles and spoilers ahead. The fourth episode opens with Margherita going to Andrea's place. Meanwhile, Carlo is back at the house after ending his day. He couldn't find Margherita in the house, so he gets worried. After some time, Margherita comes back to the house. She tells Carlo that she was just stuck with a client who refused to let her go. Carlo expresses that at least she could have called him to let him know. Margherita tells him that she understands, and she's sorry for this. Carlo lets the topic go and brings dinner for Margherita. He kisses her. She hesitantly accepts the kiss before leaving to change her outfit. A scene then shows where Margherita leaves Andrea's place without doing anything. Andrea tries to stop her, but she is adamant in her decision to leave. Carlo asks her whether she's okay, and she assures him that she's just a bit tired. In the morning, Margherita goes to her office. Ava brings up the topic of the Concordia house. Other clients are getting interested in buying it. She asks Margherita when they are going to make an offer, and Margherita doesn't seem to know that either, because this depends on whether Carlo's book sells or not. Eva is frustrated that Margherita doesn't even know what's going on with Carlo's book. Their communication is that bad. She suggests Margherita forget about the house and focus on their relationship more. She tells her to not hide anything from Carlo. She then goes back to take a call from a customer. The scene cuts to Carlo, who is now in his class. He informs his students about the important meeting that'll be held tomorrow. There'll be a lot of important writers and publishers. Carlo encourages his students to do their best to convince publishers to check their writings. After the class has ended, all the students are leaving. Sofía comes up to Carlo and he asks her about his writing. She informs him that she has finally been able to do some work. Carlo is glad to know that. Sofía leaves before Carlo. He sees her kissing another male student in front of the class. At night, Margherita comes back to the house. She finds Carlo on the sofa working on his novel. He has already prepared Margherita's dinner. They greet each other and share a kiss. While having her dinner, Margherita asks him out on a date that night, but Carlo politely rejects her, saying that he has to get some work done when he can. He also has to manage the symposium tomorrow. Margherita understands, and they get ready to go to bed. Margherita gets a text from Andrea asking whether he got her in trouble, but it was Margherita who asked him out, so she tells him that he didn't do anything. Andrea then asks whether they can hang out again, but gets no response from Margherita. Carlo is also on his phone stalking Sofía even though he's in bed with his wife. In the morning, Carlo goes to take his class but finds the classroom empty. He gets out of the classroom and goes to the ladies' restroom. He finds Sofía naked waiting for him there. Soon, the restroom starts filling with water. Carlo doesn't cave in and starts walking back. As it turns out, Carlo was having a nightmare, and he was woken up by Margherita. She is unpacking some boxes she got from her mom's place. Carlo gets up, greets her, and goes to the restroom to get fresh. Margherita asks him whether he was having a nightmare, and he confirms that he was. After some chit-chatting, Carlo comes up behind Margherita and kisses her neck. He asks her to spend some time together, but she tells him to give her some space. Carlo understands and leaves for work. Margherita goes to the box, exploring pieces of her memories. She goes through her photo albums from college. Even though she studied architecture and wanted to be an interior designer, she's now a real estate agent. While going through the box, she finds a small box full of postcards. Opening one of them made her eyes pop out of her socket, and she sat down to manage the shock. At night, Carlo comes back and finds Margherita in the same spot from the morning. In front of her are a ton of postcards arranged on the table. Margherita's eyes are red, and she's stressed from crying so much. Carlo comes up to her to find out what has happened. That's when Margherita tells him that her dad cheated on her mom for a long time. He exchanged love letters with this woman for a long time. Margherita is confused about how she should tell her mom about this, whether she should even tell her at all. Carlo tries to calm her down. To let her relieve some of the stress, they go out to get some drinks. In the restaurant, they meet with Marco and Giulia. They try to give the now recovering couple some space, but Marco and Giulia request them to sit with them too. Marco tells them that they are discussing their first date. He asks Carlo about their first date. It was in a Thai restaurant. As Margherita wanted to eat something ethnic, Carlo booked a seat in a Thai restaurant. Even though Margherita hated Thai, she pretended that it was amazing. This is news to Carlo. Marco and Giulia also discuss what they did on their first date. They went to an art exhibition, and from then on, Giulia dragged Marco to every art exhibition she went to. Even though Giulia was a stubborn and cynical woman before, after making such a big mistake, she knows better what to do. She also praises Carlo and Margherita, saying they're the best couple she has ever seen. Carlo and Margherita leave the place to let Marco and Giulia reminisce about their old memories alone. After getting out, Carlo asks her why the night out didn't cheer her up. Margherita just can't get the fact that her dad cheated on her mom out of her head. She expresses the fear of the same thing happening to her. She left all of her dreams to give Carlo a comfortable life. For 5 years, she thought about only Carlo and his well-being. But now she comes to know about a 20-year-old girl being involved with him. This is hard for her to digest. Carlo argues with her about how she can still be so hung up on a misunderstanding. Margherita replies that the only misunderstanding here is their relationship. They head for the home upset. In the morning, Carlo arrived on the campus. He meets with Luca, who welcomes him. Luca buys him some coffee while chatting. They discuss what's going on in Carlo's life and his problems with Margherita. After chatting a while, they enter the symposium. There, a writer is talking about the topic of his literature. He's quite intrigued by his desires, so that's what he writes about. Carlo is a bit skeptical about the writer, but Luca reminds him that the writer did sell 2 million copies of his book. Even though he was listening to the writer, Carlo's eyes were stuck on Sofía. She also notices him and smiles. Luca, who is sitting beside him, asks whether this is the girl. Luca understands how Carlo feels because he admits that Sofía is very pretty. After the meeting ended, everyone gathered at the bar. Luca and Carlo are talking when Luca gets a call and goes to take it, leaving Carlo alone. Meanwhile, Margherita is on the sofa talking with her mom. Her mom asks where Carlo is and she tells him about the symposium. Anna expresses frustration that Carlo is enjoying his party, and Margherita here is being all gloomy on the sofa. She suggests she go to the party too to surprise Carlo. Margherita likes this suggestion. Back at the party, Carlo orders a drink and sits down on a chair. He looks at Sofía, who's dancing in front of him. Sofía sends him a text message asking him to dance. Carlo replies how they could in front of everyone's eyes. Sofía's boyfriend also joins her and they start dancing together in front of Carlo. Even though he doesn't want to see them together, he can't look away. After some time, other students come and say their goodbye to Carlo. But Carlo's attention is on Sofía, who is kind of arguing with her boyfriend. Margherita comes back to the scene, where she gets ready and hops in a taxi after getting ready in a sexy outfit. But while leaving, Carlo sees Sofía arguing with her boyfriend Leo on the road while he is getting on his bike. Sofía tells him to leave her alone, which frustrates Leo. Leo gets angry and starts leaving without her. Carlo comes up from behind and they start talking. They plan on going somewhere alone and Leo sees them together. Back to Margherita, she has finally arrived at the place. But it seems like she's in the wrong place. But she gets out of the taxi anyway and starts walking. Meanwhile, Carlo is following Sofía's directions. She gets inside a closed park by climbing the fence and asks Carlo to come too. Even though Carlo hesitates at first, he climbs on too. Margherita is now walking inside a tunnel. She soon finds the person she was looking for, Andrea. Andrea is having a fighting match with another dude while a bunch of people are cheering on them. Back to Carlo and Sofía. Sofía asks him about his first kiss, but he can't remember. Sofía also doesn't remember the boy's name, but it happened when she was in middle school. Sofía tells Carlo that she has never been in love, which Carlo finds hard to believe. But Sofía explains that it's hard for her to love as she can't trust anyone. She didn't even trust Carlo at first, but now things have changed. Sofía starts approaching Carlo slowly, and they start sharing a passionate kiss. While this is happening, Margherita is talking with bruised Andrea. She tells him that when he sent her the address, she thought that it would be some kind of restaurant or bar. Andrea agrees that it's a bit unusual. Margherita asks him jokingly where they should go now and whether it's in the hospital. Andrea brushes off his injuries, saying it's just some scratches. Andrea tells her to get on the bike, but Margherita makes him take a taxi with her. Meanwhile, Carlo stops kissing Sofía midway. He tells her that he can't have this. Sofía is saddened by this and hands out a file to him. It's her story, and she's giving it to Carlo. She informs Carlo that she's leaving Milan as she can't stay with him here. This time, she won't turn back. After that, Sofía leaves Carlo in the park. Back to Margherita, she is in the taxi with Andrea. Tension is rising between them, and it's getting hard to control. While this is happening, Carlo gets caught by the police while climbing down the fence. They wanted his ID, but he had left them at the house. The episode ends with Margherita and Andrea making out in the taxi while Carlo's call is ringing on Margherita's phone. To watch more explanations of these kinds of series, click on the videos on your screen. And don't forget to let me know how you feel about today's video in the comments down below. And at last, thanks for watching.